We've been wanting to buy real estate for a long time now. It's gone from a high-level vision to a long-term goal to now an actual tangible goal, and this is the year that we start the process. Now, to give you some background on us, we currently live in downtown Toronto. We've been actually renting and living in the same apartment for the last 5.5 years, and we love it here, and we would happily stay in Toronto for the long term if it was affordable, but Toronto's a very expensive place to live. And if you're wondering just how expensive is when I say it, to give you some numbers here, a detached home in the city of Toronto, so actually downtown, the average price is about $1.6 million, and even if you're looking for a condo, it's still over $700,000. Now, even if you expand to what's called the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, not just downtown, the price of a detached home is still an average of $1.4 million, and the average price of a condo is $680,000. So not a big decrease, still very expensive to live downtown or even just in the surrounding areas of Toronto. Now, because we aren't quite ready to move out of Toronto yet, but we also don't want to spend all of our money trying to buy a place for us to live in here, our plan for now is to start with an investment property that we can buy and rent out. Then eventually we'll use the equity that we build in that home to buy a house for us to live in the future. So that's the plan that we're starting out with, but we're going to be taking you guys all along this entire journey, so if and when things change, you'll hear about it along the way.
Now I want to start by covering the steps that we've started to take so far. The first thing that we did was educate ourselves on the process of buying a home. There's a lot involved in the process, and when you're a first-time home buyer like us, it's a whole new world that we didn't want to be going into blindly. We actually ended up finding out about an amazing free resource for this from True North Mortgage. It's a first-time home buyer's guide that me and Steph wish we knew about back when we first started our education process last year, but we'll have Steph talk more about that in a minute. Then we looked into our financial situation. There's specific numbers that you'll want to know that are important in the home buying process, and we wanted to have all of them ready to go and in front of us. Finally, we looked into how to go about the mortgage pre-approval process. This is a big first step that determines how much house you can actually afford before you officially start looking. In future videos, we'll cover other steps that'll be coming up, but for this video, we want to give you a little bit more insight into what we've done so far and what we've learned so far. So for step one, educating ourselves in the home buying process, we reached out to our friend Christiana, who we've actually had on the channel before, and she took us through everything that we would need to know in the home buying process as first-time home buyers. So we did a 1-hour call with her where she walked us through like the high-level process and answered a whole bunch of our questions. One thing that I found really useful was seeing what types of professionals you'll see at different stages of the process. Like, when do you go to a realtor versus a mortgage broker versus a lawyer? And then from there, we actually had a baseline level of information, and from there we could actually do our own individual research.
Now, we're going to be taking you guys through all of these different steps and actually sharing the behind the scenes with you as we go through them ourselves in real time. But for now, we wanted to share a resource with you guys that goes over everything that we're mentioning in detail and in a really easy to understand way. Now, we've worked with True North Mortgage before in the past when buying a home was definitely more of a distant goal for us. So we're really excited to be able to work with them again now that we're actually finally making it happen. Their goal is to provide better mortgage rates for Canadians, and they help make the process easier, which is definitely what we're looking for. They also have a lot of great tools and resources on their site as well, including their new first-time home buyer's guide, which is perfect because that's exactly what we were looking for to guide us. It's really easy to understand and visually appealing, which I love, and there's all the different information that you need. There's tips and checklists, and like Dennis mentioned before, they also outline how and when you're going to use these different experts like mortgage brokers, realtors, and lawyers. I also have my laptop so I can show you guys really quickly what the guide actually looks like. So here it is right now. You can see first-time home buyer's guide. You can see there's many pages in this, but what I like is each page is really easy and simple. The first one is like a roadmap of the home buying journey. We're kind of in these stages here right at the beginning, as you'll see as we walk through in this video, but we can kind of see what the full roadmap looks to the house at the end. Like I said before, at table of contents, they cover everything in here. Every single page itself is really easy to understand, and they break it down for you. There's different resources throughout it too, right? Like the mortgage payment calculator is here. They even have monthly budget templates, which is awesome. There's so many things involved in buying your first home that you don't even think about. So they have it all in here. Your income, it really starts from the beginning. Here's some of the checklists. I really like how it looks too. I said that before, but it really is visually appealing and super easy to understand, which I love. If you want to grab a copy of this guide for yourself, we'll have a link in the description box below and a clickable link on screen for you here. It's free, it's easy to download, so go grab yourself a copy. And thanks to True North Mortgage for working with us on this video and also for creating tools like this that make an intimidating process a lot easier to handle.
Okay, so once we felt like we had a good understanding of the home buying process, it was on to step 2, looking into our financial situation. Now, when you buy a home, most people get a mortgage on that home, which means that a financial institution is lending you money to purchase it, and then you pay that mortgage down over time. The amount of money that you're lent by the financial institution is based on your financial situation and the confidence they have in your ability to pay back the money that you owe. Now, we're in a bit of a unique situation because we're self-employed. We do have an incorporated business that we're the employees of, so we're still employed and we do still have T4s, but because me and Steph are the sole owners of the business that employs us, it does impact how our financial situation is viewed by lenders. So we wanted to understand exactly what our current financial situation was and what we would likely be pre-approved for before diving into the official process. First, we looked into our current credit scores, and in Canada, you can actually get a free credit report from the credit bureaus at least once per year, and we use Equifax to check our scores. Then the rest of the information that we really wanted to look into was related to our business and personal income. It's really your most recent 2 years of business financials and personal income that are important, but at the time, we hadn't actually even yet hit a full 2 years of being in business. Now, to be more specific about what we needed, it was our T1s and notice of assessments for our most recent 2 years. The T1 is a tax return that you or your accountant fills out and submits to CRA, and it typically summarizes your income, all the taxes you paid, your credits, deductions, and more. Your notice of assessment, on the other hand, is a summary document that you receive from CRA after they've reviewed your return. It usually shows the date that your return was assessed, whether or not you have an amount owing, a refund, and more. What we learned during this information gathering process is that one of the most important numbers was our income. When we quit our corporate jobs back in 2021, we became self-employed, we took a pay cut, so our incomes went down. We specifically went from making $70,000 to $75,000 each in 2021 to making $30,000 to $35,000 each in 2022 on paper, aka according to our tax documents. What this meant was that despite the fact that we had a business that was making money, it had only been in business for a year, so the lenders didn't really care for those numbers. And on top of that, because of our big pay cut, it limited the types of lenders that we had access to and how much money they were willing to provide. To explain that a little bit more, there are two types of lenders that are relevant to us in this situation, and that's A lenders and B lenders. A lenders are typically traditional financial institutions like big banks and certain credit unions. B lenders are another option that provide funding for people who don't qualify for mortgages with an A lender, or for people who don't qualify for a big enough mortgage, or for their specific situation with an A lender.
Based on everything that Dennis just covered, we realized that because of our limited self-employment income structure, we likely weren't going to be approved for as much as we would want to. So we actually put a pause on the process for a while, and that's why we haven't shared a video on this topic till now. But we just finished wrapping up our second fiscal year financials, and we also increased our take-home pay for the majority of 2023. And again this year too. So we ended up going from $2,036 a month to now $4,459.91 a month each. So the combination of those two things should help us be approved for a higher amount now. So the last thing that we started to look into now that we're jumping back into things is how to go about the mortgage pre-approval process. Now, we might do a video all about this step, showing us getting all of our information together, sharing how much we get pre-approved for, looking through our different options based on what we're pre-approved for. But for now, we're just starting to look into how we would go about that. When it comes to the general process, the first question that you have to ask yourself is, where are you right now when it comes to buying a house? What are your thoughts? Are you casually thinking about buying a home, or are you serious about the process and actually planning on buying something within the next 6 months to a year? The answer to that question will let you know whether or not to do a pre-qualification or pre-approval. A pre-qualification is an estimate of how much house you can afford to buy based on how your finances are looking right now and which mortgage amount you'll potentially be approved for. It's in no way binding, and it's great if you're early in your home buying journey and gives you a chance to adjust things if you need to. A pre-approval, on the other hand, provides a more accurate picture of what you can afford at that time, and it takes into account your true financial situation by asking you to provide more detailed information than a pre-qualification would. It's also usually an essential step in buying a home, and what's great about it is that it makes a faster closing time on your mortgage application because you've already been approved and cleared by a lender. Now, when it comes to finding the mortgage itself, you can either work directly with the lender or you can use a mortgage broker, of course. Now, like we mentioned before, we're going to be getting more into this in a future video, but at this stage, our next step is that we're actually going to be moving forward with the pre-approval process and see what we're going to be approved for now that we've actually adjusted our financial situation.
We hope that you guys are excited for us to take you along on this journey with us. We're really excited and can't wait to see what happens next. And thank you again to True North Mortgage for working with us on this video. And remember to check out their first time home buyer's guide after this. And we'll be back with new videos in this new series soon.